Cloudcast Media. Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Yeah.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast in our 20th year, brought to you by the unbelievable folks at Mission Fed Credit Union. More than 6 decades of doing things such as helping out with food insecurity, with Alzheimer's, with homelessness, financial literacy, and about 7,000 other great causes. And honored to have in the studio, he's on the other side of the mic. Often he co-hosts with me, my longtime friend and colleague, the inimitable Neville Billimoria. He is the board president for the North County Philanthropy Council. Always good to see you, my good friend.
Likewise, Drew. Thanks for having us on, and it's nice to be on the other side of the aisle here.
I think so. I did such a great job when you're sitting next to me. We've got Kristen Fogel, who's in her 3rd year now co-hosting with me, so ever grateful. She is the executive director of San Diego Writers, Inc., does a great job, and you're joined by your colleague, the executive director of the North County Philanthropy Council, Jim Davis. How you doing, Jim?
Very good. Good morning.
So thank you for your 30-plus years involved with nonprofits. A perfect person to be in this position. And I know Kristen has a question for you right out of the gate.
Yeah, I know a bit about North County Philanthropy Council, but can you tell us about the mission?
I'm happy to.
Yeah.
So North County Philanthropy Council is really an organization that's dedicated to helping other nonprofits. We like to call ourselves the nonprofit for nonprofits. Our work is solely dedicated to making sure that we're recognizing folks, that we're educating folks, that we're recognizing their volunteers, because volunteerism, in my opinion, is one of the greatest forms of philanthropy.
Absolutely.
So we do that through a variety of different programs. First, we have connectors, which are our networking programs. We do about 10 of those a year. And we do those really to highlight the members that are going to host, and they get to kind of brag and show off their facility, and we welcome our community. We also have an Impact Leadership Accelerator. We're educating our leaders out there, our nonprofit leaders. That's an 8-month program. We run San Diego Gives. It started with Impact Cubed and the Leash Tag Foundation, but we now run that. Pardon me, that's also an 8-month program. Last year we had 16 educational workshops. This year we have 23. We also culminate that San Diego Gives with the Day of Giving. Mm-hmm. Day of Giving this year will be September 17th, and that's a lot like Giving Tuesday, but very hyper-local. Every single penny that we raise goes to nonprofits right here in San Diego. Last year we raised a little over $900,000 for 111 organizations that were participating in that. And of course, then we have our quarterly programs where we can kind of meet the funders. Upcoming, we're going to meet the funders working with banks, help educate our nonprofit community on what it is to work with banks and, of course, credit unions. So that's going to be really exciting. And last and certainly not least, our signature event, which is our volunteer awards ceremony. Used to be in the fall. We've moved it to the spring. It's going to be on April 10th. It's in April because April is National Volunteer Recognition Month. Really excited about this event. We usually welcome about 400 guests, typically recognize between 60 and 100 nonprofit volunteers. So it's us really granting the opportunity for our nonprofit community to really recognize these volunteers in a very special way. We have a great big event. We have music. We have an MC. We have a lot of award. Every person that's nominated gets an award. They also get a certificate from the County Board of Supervisors. Really terrific event.
And Neville, where's the event going to be?
Rancho Bernardo Inn.
Ooh, lovely.
Very, very nice. And is anyone invited to this, or do you have to be affiliated with the council?
No, we were just talking about that. And with 13,000 nonprofits, given the conditions that we find the nonprofit sector in, we want to make this accessible to all nonprofits. So to Jim's point, volunteerism is an important form of philanthropy. And what better thing to do than celebrate your volunteers that choose to give their time, energy, talent, experience to your organization. So for all those nonprofits out there listening to this, you're invited to bring your volunteer. You choose them. We're not going to play God and do any nomination business. We're democratizing the importance of volunteerism, and we're going to celebrate the heck out of them.
That's good. And there's our website. Do they go to sign up?
Yep.
There is. They can go out to our website, which is just ncphilanthropy.org.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's important. And what you bring up, Neville, is something I've been interviewing Neville for about the 20 years that we've been doing this podcast. And we talk about volunteerism and let people know that if you think 1 hour is not good enough, 1 hour is fine, because next time it'll be 2, and next time it'll be 5. And then once you get ingrained with some of the unbelievable nonprofits in this area, they're going to have to beat you away with a stick on that aspect of it. So thank you for mentioning about that. Thank you for raising a bar on this. Neville, Jim brought up something that is in your soul, in your DNA, and everything before is leadership. Talk about how critical that is to work with and even show leaders how to become even better leaders.
Well, clearly there's discrepancies in terms of access to leadership coaching. How if you look at the nonprofit sector again locally, we're not reflective of our community as we should be. The number of Hispanic, Latinx, the BIPOC population, there's various groups that are not in those ED, executive director, or governance roles. If we're going to change that, we have to invest in emerging leadership. And so the ILAR, Impact Leadership Accelerator, is an example of making an investment in leadership in the social sector so that 5 years from now, looking back retrospectively, we'll see a more reflective, diverse, inclusive leadership spectrum where people want to be led by people like them. And so, that's one lever. As we know, when budgets get tight, what do we cut? We cut training and we cut marketing. Well,
the two worst things to cut.
You need the training because that's what's going to get you with leadership techniques, competencies that are going to get you out of uncertain conditions, these poly crises we find ourselves in. And marketing, that's your storytelling. If people don't know your story, why would they want, and the impact you make as a nonprofit or as a business for that matter, then why would they want to continue to invest their time, energy, resource, give you their dollars, whatever it is?
No, there's no question about that. And, Kristen, I know you are executive director of a nonprofit, and leadership so critical.
It really is. And it's communicating and becoming part of these hubs, like like you guys, like Fieldstone. Neville, I think you were also on a call with the nonprofit leadership school at USD the other day, like I was, just all of us really honing into these places where we can train up, where we can develop leaders. It's just so critical and it's so important. On that too, I wonder if we can go over to Jim. I'd love to learn more about the Accelerator program. So it's 8 months. Mm-hmm. What would a leader expect from this program? And do they have to pay for it? Is there funding there? What does that kind of look like? Yeah,
there is a cost involved. I think it's pretty reasonable when you look at other leadership programs.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm a graduate of the Fieldstone program.
Amazing. So. Yeah, they do exceptional work. We've had Janine on here a few times.
Right. Love Janine and love the program. And I really believe that there's a lot of space and a lot of room for leadership programming.
Yeah.
So ours is unique in that it is an 8-month program. We do invite subject matter experts, professionals to come on and do a workshop, do a webinar. And then all of our participants break off into individual groups. They meet in person with coaches, 2 coaches, usually with a group of 4 or 5 people. We want everybody to feel like they have their own personal space and personal experience. And they talk about what they just learned. But that's not all. They also can just say, hey, don't want to talk about what we just learned because I've got an issue that I want to talk about. So we really have the ability to kind of personalize the experience and really make it very focused on what the issues might be in that room.
That's beautiful.
Well, and we know with leadership, 1 + 1 definitely equals 8. And we know that. And, Neville, and I'm sure, Jim, you are the same way. You're a data person. You love to see results, okay? And are we moving the bar somewhere? And of course, we learn a lot from our failures. We all know that, how that works on this. How do you measure? I'll start with you on this, Neville, being the board president, and then pivot over to Jim with his 30-plus years involved with nonprofits. How do you measure the success of the council?
So typically, the short answer, it's a we, not me proposition. So oftentimes when we're working in our insular, either organizations, departments, enterprises, it's all about us, our goals, our objectives. As a amplifier, as a convener of conveners, a nonprofit, our success is measured by the nonprofit community success. So are we able to uplift more nonprofits? Are they able to create better impact through their resourcing for the people they serve? Are we going to be able to look back retrospectively and see the number of leaders that came through us and other programs that are now positively impacting the community? Our volunteers that are spending hundreds of hours in some cases every year with getting little to no recognition, and they're not doing it for that, but it's celebrating volunteerism in San Diego as an example, where we have disproportionately high rates of both giving from households and volunteerism. It's over 40% in both categories, which is not insignificant. So your point about 1 hour or 100 hours, you do the cumulative math on just that piece. Now, I'm not just focused. You asked a leadership question, but I think volunteerism is a form of leadership.
Yes.
It's a commitment to causes that matter to you. It's standing up for something that's bigger than yourself. And so I would add that as a value, a qualitative benefit, not necessarily a key metric that you could measure and quantify all the time.
Well, you can, of course, and I've talked about it on the hours. You can break down this what a volunteer hour costs, and if you get X amount of volunteers at X amount of hours, this is what it is, and there is a real number that comes with that as well. And I think and maybe Neville, you can talk about this too, and Jim add to it. I always makes me go crazy when people don't understand the economic impact of our nonprofits in this region. It is a huge economic impact. I know we have groups like USD Souls and the Nonprofit Institute and the Foundation that will measure this. Yeah. Neville, talk about it.
Yeah, so we, if you think about the three sectors, the public sector, government, the private sector, business, and the social sector, the nonprofit sector, which even in the nonprofit sector, that's a legal designation. That's a tax status. So if we're going to drive value into our community, that comes in many flavors besides just economic value. How about human well-being? Can we start there? Why does GDP, a single metric of success, imagine going to your doctor and them going, I'm just going to use your cholesterol or your pick one measure, and that's going to define your health and well-being. Even the people that came up with GDP said that that's a poor measure. It doesn't calculate intangibles like the positives could be Taylor Swift's IP. Where does that show up? It could be the negatives. Where does deforestation or climate catastrophe and those adverse impacts show up? So I think human well-being should be the new metric of success. Yes, there's a monetary or profit imperative that's baked into that, no margin, no mission. But if that's all you're doing is you're profit-oriented or non-profit-oriented, how about purpose-oriented? What is your reason for being as a human being and with an organization? Why are you here, really?
Well, you're spot on, and this is something that Neville knows. I've been involved in education for like 6 billion years, and my head spins around like Linda Blair from The Exorcist. And for our listeners, go ahead and Google it. And you'll know what I mean by this. Is the fact that that's like saying the only metric is test scores. Are you absolutely out of your mind? There's 4 billion others. Jim, I know you feel the same way with your experience with nonprofits.
No, absolutely. The types of impacts that nonprofits have on our community are almost immeasurable. We do know that the San Diego community has really very high confidence in the nonprofit community. We also know that a large portion of San Diegans utilize at some level a nonprofit organization. So putting those two things together, we recognize how really, truly, important and imperative our missions are. Now, we're in a very interesting economic time. We're in a very interesting political time. And so there's a lot of changes that are happening, and the nonprofit community, quite frankly, is somewhat terrified about certain things that are going on. And if you're a nonprofit organization serving marginalized communities or LGBTQ or any of those that have been in the news lately, then they're suffering. And so one of the things that we want to do, because we recognize the importance of these nonprofits, is be able to find some way to support all nonprofits here in San Diego. There's a lot of them, 13,000 plus. So we do our best with what we have. But any organization out there that wants to work with us, we're here to work with you. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I've learned in so many years with the nonprofit community is that we tend to be a little bit siloed. We like to kind of stay in our little bucket, and we're all competing for the same money and for the same board members sometimes. But when I explain to nonprofits what NCPC does and how collaborative we are, and that there is an avenue for you to kind of actually meet other people in the industry, their eyes just light up. And it's really kind of a remarkable thing.
Well, listen, I've been using this phrase recently. Work in a silo, die in a silo, and that's what is going to happen in this area. When we come back, we're going to continue the conversation with Jim Davis, Executive Director of the North County Philanthropy Council, joined by Board President Neville Billimoria, joined by my co-host, Kristen Fogel. She's the Executive Director of San Diego Writers, Inc. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. We will be right back after this short break.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest-running community podcast. 20 years they've been doing it now, so honored to have as our sponsor, Mission Fed Credit Union, 60-plus years of just lifting up so many folks in this region in so many different causes. Honored to have in the studio with us today Jim Davis, Executive Director of North County Philanthropy Council, joined by his board president, Neville Billimoria, and I'm honored to have in our third year now, co-hosting the Spotlight in the Community Show, which I'm so grateful, and that is Kristen Fogel, Executive Director of San Diego Writers, Inc. Kristen?
Yeah. So, North County, but it sounds like you're not just in North County, right? It sounds like you're all over San Diego, yes?
Yeah, fantastic question. The North County Philanthropy Council, which I tend to call just NCPC because there is that confusion,
sure,
was started in North County. And it was because there was a recognition that a lot of the money and a lot of the focus went on the nonprofits that were in central San Diego. And so they really developed this program to bring attention up to the North County. Mission accomplished. And now we are able to serve organizations that are all over the county. And in fact, I think about a tad more than 50% of our member organizations are not in North County. Still our wheelhouse. We know the area well. But yeah, we serve the entire county.
I'm in the same boat with San Diego Writers Inc. We've become international at this point, but what can you do? About how many organizations do you serve currently?
We're currently working with 224 nonprofit organizations. One of the unique things about our membership is if an organization becomes a member, their entire staff and board receive membership benefits as well. So we count over 1,000 members as a part of NCPC.
Wonderful.
Neville, since our paths crossed 23 years ago now, do I get that right?
24, but who's counting?
24 is counting.
I just turned 24 at Mission Fed here on Wednesday.
I was there for the first week, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Wow.
Literally. And, but I know there's many things that are in your DNA, but one of them is collaboration. And talk about, and Jim, you can add to it, how the council, with all your members, and then add this with the multiplier effect, work with everybody.
Well, we talked about this even when you were asking about the Leadership Accelerator. Well, our theory of change is different. Collective wisdom, no one of us is smart as all of us. So you're not just doing this program by yourself. You got yourself, you've got your cohort, you've got your 2 coaches, and you've got the entire group. That's a different kettle of fish than you live in a silo, die in a silo kind of thing, right?
Right.
So how do we leverage all the social capital, all the intellectual capital, all the resources in this ecosystem? So it's an ecosystem, not an ecosystem model. And collaboration is absolutely critical to us solving any seemingly long-term intractable problem. I don't care if it's homelessness, food insufficiency, you pick it. It's not going to happen by any one group. The government ain't going to do it. The businesses can't do it. The nonprofit sector by themselves can't do it. We have to be collaborative. And we quote good old Darwin as survival of the fittest. Actually, he didn't say that. He said survival of the most adaptable. And we need to be more adaptive in today's uncertain times. And adaptation comes in partnership oftentimes with other people in your ecosystem.
Well, and Jim, heaven forbid we actually row in the same direction. Anyone who's been in a boat and a rowboat, and then you actually the oars are working that way, you go there pretty quickly, right? That is just so important. And how do you work with some of your other colleagues that are, executive directors of these other nonprofits?
Well, it's one of the things I like most about NCPC. It was so many years in the nonprofit industry, I was getting a little disenchanted to say, because I think there's a lot of things that need work on in the nonprofit community. This level of collaboration is so exciting, and I get to work with a lot of organizations. We've learned of a lot of organizations that are also collaborative in nature, whether it's AFP or Amplified, Catalyst, NPI. They all are fantastic organizations that we work hand in hand with to really support the nonprofit community. But more and more executive directors are recognizing the importance of needing to collaborate and needing to work with others, needing to make sure they're not duplicating services, because more and more funders are saying, you're duplicating services and we're not going to fund everybody. Yeah. So this just simple concept of collaboration is becoming more important at NCPC, because we're the nonprofit for nonprofits. We try to keep our eye in the future, try to predict what's going to happen so that we can help solve problems as they come up. Collaboration is probably the number one issue that we're going to be dealing with, I think, in the near future.
Yeah, there's no question about that. And you'd referred to it as well, Kristen. Here you are. You've been involved with San Diego Writers Inc. How many years now?
It's my 13th year.
Your 13th year, and you've seen it grow, and you've seen people come in and all that business. And you have to do it as executive director. The collaboration is huge.
Collaboration is the most fun part. I mean, we're lucky to be located in Liberty Station. I will collaborate with everybody on anything. I mean, education, arts. I mean, people that have come in here. I mean, we're collaborators of the blood bank. And we have nothing to do with that. But we're just infinitely better if we're all together and we're serving the community as a whole in a variety of different ways.
Right, and I think Neville, you're and Jim obviously is with his experience in this, and of course that's in your field house as being a communicator. You cannot talk about this stuff enough, Neville. You cannot amplify how important it is for people to get together. Because one of the things that used to always frustrate me is when you hear people, boy, I wish I would have heard about that. I wish I would have known about that, because they would have been engaged. Talk about just getting the word out is just, absolutely beyond critical.
Hey, everyone's doing important work out there, but if it's the best kept secret, you're selling yourself short. So you need a good story, you need a good storyteller. and you need to be clear about what your purpose is and what your why is and how that's impacting your community, your society, your planet. Those of us that are attenuated to that are going to help move the needle and create a more informed, compassionate, and ultimately effective and healthier society and environment. So I'm for everyone listening on the call again, we implore you to collaborate. And if you're not collaborating with us, collaborate with somebody.
Yeah.
So here's a question from our senior producer, Brandon. Joe said that, and I'll start with you on this, Jim, and then go over to Neville on it. For people who are sticks in the mud and need to be out of the mud, how do you work with them and not make them feel like they're sticks in the mud, but get them out of their silo or mud sticking, whatever?
Slowly and gently.
Yeah, good point.
I think for the most part, you just have to introduce the concept, and you have to show kind of demonstratively where it works and how it works. I had the pleasure of sitting down with an organization yesterday, and they had no idea how to network or no idea how to meet certain people to help them develop a capital campaign. And I'm like, well, that's what we do. And we do this, pretty consistently, and we do it well. And I think once you start introducing just the very simple idea that we're not out there to take your money or to take your job or to take anything, your clients away from you, but we're there to help bolster your organization and help you grow, I think the interest grows.
Well, you brought up something that I always chuckle at in this, and then I got to remember, not everyone does this, for God's sake, Drew. Not in this orbit, but networking. We have the thanks to Neville, the all-time greatest young networker in the history of humankind is Brandon Joe, who Neville introduced us to us as I want to say a sophomore at UCSD when he first came. He's now graduated. Congratulations to Brandon in that aspect of it. And so Neville, one of the 4 billion things Neville is good at is recognizing talent. But it's networking. And here's a, 20-something, maybe even 19-something doing this, then obviously look what has happened.
And who cold called Neville, or cold emailed.
Because of the UCSD connection.
Yeah.
Neville being like, the alumnus of the century, and not that he's a century-year-old old. But talk about that networking, Neville. It is, you can't put a price tag on that.
Yeah, well, again, it's where's your sphere of influence, and how do you perceive yourself? Does your being end at your corpus, at the end of your skin, or are you something bigger and part of something greater than yourself? If you're always looking out for what the possibilities are, and you meet somebody and they have an interest, and you can connect them with somebody that has a similar interest, it's that old, you got a penny, I got a penny, we exchange it, we've still got a penny. But you got an idea, I got an idea, we exchange it, we've got 2 ideas or more ideas. And so it's just having a different sentiment and sensibility about if I'm really here to serve, and I run into an opportunity, it's onus on me is to see if I can seize that opportunity and manifest it. And it's just a mindset. There's no superpower here. There's no Mr. Networker USA or anything. This is just simply paying attention.
Well, you brought up something that's so true, and it is the mindset. And it's like anything, when you have a great culture at a business, and I know Mission Fed, you're very, very proud of the culture you have here, because you don't let it sit on the laurels. You're constantly improving it. That's always been the DNA from Ron Martin to, all the CEOs, and now with Doug, Wright. And, it is a mindset. It is a culture change. And Jim, you have it through all your years, and it comes natural. That I'm going to reach out and I'm going to help. And there's a guy we have frequently on the show, and I think you've been on there with me, Kristen, Morgan Appel. I think he has in the back of his business card is just the word 3 letters, YES. And he shares that off and says, yeah, okay, yes. It's not that hard to say yes, talk about that. Yeah,
I mean, what a fantastic philosophy. And I think that's something that we do at NCPC as well. When people come to us and say, hey, can we talk about this? Or can we talk about that? Or there's a need in the community about this. Our immediate response is absolutely, we'll figure out a way. And not only that, we'll find out who is considered a professional in that area, and we'll bring them to the table and figure out a way together. Right. And we do that a lot through collaboration and networking. And talking about networking, it's so important to NCPC that we include a networking component to everything that we do, including our volunteer award ceremony, everything. It's just so important to know who's out in the community and who's there. And I promise you that most of them want to help. And most of them are there to be of some sort of assistance to you if you just ask.
Yeah, there's no question about it. Okay, let's shout out the volunteer ceremony. What day again, Neville?
April 10th, Rancho Banana Inn, 2 to 5:30. Networking to start, live music to end. Bring your volunteer, and if you have a volunteer that couldn't afford to do it, pay for them and send them over.
Everyone's invited. Okay, go to the NCPC website. You'll be able to find that. It's just not NCPC related. It is any nonprofit. Probably have a problem if all 13,000 nonprofits send you some folks.
I'd love that problem.
You'd be opening up freaking Snapdragon. So what's wrong with that, right? Yeah, we're not going to be over there. Jim Davis, what a pleasure chatting with you, Executive Director of North County Philanthropy Council, and this won't be the last time that you're on. Neville, you're a treasure to our community and to our show, and we really appreciate it. Thank you, Mission Fed, for what you do. And Kristen, and it's always good when you're sitting right next to me in the co-pilot seat.
Thanks for having me, Drew.
Absolutely. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. Been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. And to our audience, we hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.